Annihilape, rapidly running out of HP, looks to reach the Rage Fist. The opponent makes a back-breaking catch back onto Togekiss to absorb the energy. Metagross going to re-enter the arena, get that farm down. We find ourselves in a shieldless game. We send out Zone, wait the turn, make the catch. Anything you can do, opponent, we can do better. Earthquake simply doesn't get the job done, and Salamance is going to close the show. GG's, and thanks for playing. Welcome back to the channel. Holy, do we have a banger of a battle submission today. This channel is a place that I like to think of as the home of shadow Pokemon. I woke up, I'd received mail from Felarok showcasing not one, not two, but three perfect 100% IV, fully maxed out level 50 shadow Pokemon in the Master League Premier Cup. Firstly, let's be honest, I am hella jealous, and I'm sure a lot of people are. What an insane flex. And secondly, the core we're going to be showcasing is Magnezone and Salamance, the core that I personally think, without a doubt, was the best core to run in this format. I was able to chalk up a very nice 15-0 win streak running the exact same core to hit veteran rank earlier in the week. The third on my team was the big thick boy, a Shadow Snorlax that I was using to operate as the safe switch. Felarok's opting for Annihilape, and he's running it in quite an interesting ABA strategy. We're leading Salamance with Annihilape in the back. That means we're going to be very weak to common fairy types. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to navigate our way through that, but I guess we're about to find out. Whilst the team that I was using did have a weakness to fighting, we were ABA weak to fighting with both Magnezone and Snorlax. I'm not really fancying their chance against fighters. I think fighters are pretty uncommon, and that was probably a safer strategy. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, I've talked our weakness into existence. We see Florges in the lead position. Felarok goes straight for the fly, which is alignment, but we're kind of obliged to float instantly, as if we look for good timing, the opponent could potentially Moonblast us to the face and we'd be straight in and straight out. The thing with Salamance is it hits like an absolute truck, and you're able to two-shot all the common fairy types. We look to call the bait. Unfortunately, get Moonblast to the face, and here comes Magnezone, looking for a very nice overfarm. All the opponents give up switch. The opponent opts to give up switch, sending out the big thick boy. Felarok gonna fire off the wild charge. Wild charge gets no respect at -1. Not doing as much damage as we used to, but still lands for decent damage, and here comes Annihilate. If this Snorlax is opting for Earthquake, we could be in a spot of bother, but thankfully it's just a back-to-back body slams, or potentially a body slam into Superpower, looking to minimise the farm. Annihilape tanks both body slams, gets the farm down, and when Florges re-enters the arena, we've now got a bucketload of residual energy good to go. Felarok fires off the Rage Fist. Rage Fist forces the opponent's first protection. Annihilape so far ahead in energy, fires off the next Rage Fist, and potentially we can just counter farm down here. Felarok smelling blood in the water, recognising whatever's in the back, doesn't want to see our Angry Ape. Invests to protect shield. The opponent looks for the Fairy Wind farm down. They get counter farm down. The opponent doesn't want the smoke, and they concede the match. In the next battle, we see Magnezone in the lead position. Not the best matchup, but by no means the worst either. The opponent is going to have to land a wild charge to do any meaningful damage. Very nice fast move timing, 5 Dragon Tails and the brutal swing, only giving the opponent 1 free turn. The opponent continued to volt switch away, allowing Felarok to once again throw the brutal swing at very disciplined timing, and this Magnezone's already deep in the red. Felarok has obtained himself a shield advantage, dares the opponent to full send a wild charge. They do exactly that, and Salamance gets vanquished back to its Pokeball. We send out Annihilape. Annihilape going to shield up the next wild charge. The opponent then send out Metagross. Interested in running Bullet Punch. To be honest, in all the battles I played, I saw pretty much a 90% still opting for the Legacy Shadow Claw. Perhaps this opponent's pissed off for losing to Fairy types. However, with Magnezone in the lead, I don't really think you need yet more Fairy coverage. What does this team do against a Ground type? Or a fighter for that matter? What a mad team from our opponent. Out comes Mamoswine, and Annihilape is going to close the show. The opponent tried to make a catch. Catch attempt unsuccessful. Annihilape runs rampant, sweeping the entire team. Heading into the next battle. We lead Shadow Salamance into Gyarados. Despite us taking super effective from the Dragon Breath, this is by no means a bad matchup. We're getting same type attack bonus on our Dragon Tails that tear through the HP. And a Stab Fly does objectively more than a non-stab crunch, which is likely what the opponent throws, unless they're running Outrage, which they don't even farm up to. Opponent actually go for the Aqua Tail bait. Salamance shrugs off the damage, reaches the brutal swing, and you can see why I enjoy using Salamance. It is such a monster in this format. Felarok obtained himself a shield advantage in the opening matchup, sends out Magnezone last second, invests the protection on the Aqua Tail. Shadow Magnezone is actually not all that glassy in the Master League Premier. When it's fully maxed out, it tanks hits reasonably well, but it looks like we're valuing health. And that isn't a bad idea, as out comes Metagross, which is by no means a good response. We land the wild charge. make the aggressive pivot into Annihilape, and here comes Florges. I'll be interested to see how Felarok plays this. Are we going to call the Chilling Water, or are we going to invest? If we correctly shield with a Moonblast, potentially we can just fully counter farm down everything. We correctly shield the Moonblast, the opponent kind of obliged to shield this move up. If they don't, they're only going to reach a Chilling Water, and I think we just counter farm down the entire team. Potentially the opponent thinks they'll wink on it. Shadow Claw farming down Annihilape, an Earthquake on our Magnezone, but unfortunately Trainer, boosted Light, says no, counter farms down, and we're able to emerge victorious. In the next battle, we see the battle of dragon types. I really do think Salamance is the top tier dragon in this format. I hear you ask why. Well, firstly, it's the spammiest of them all, taking only 9 turns to the Brutal Swing, and secondly, it's got a monstrous stat product and the highest attack stat of any dragon not named Haxorus that I haven't seen at all. You might have, but I don't think it's a particularly good pick. Salamance was able to not only obtain a shield advantage, get this Dragonite deep into the red health range. Unfortunately, Magnezone unable to farm down. I was going to say before the superpowers reached, the opponent actually for a Thunder Punch there, so potentially they've got Dragon Claw as a second move. I can't quite believe it. Well, I can believe this is a Dragon Double Steel strategy. Pretty basic, but yet again, we see a Bullet Punch variant of Metagross. And the opponent not opting for Legacy Shadow Claw means once again, Annihilape's going to do what it does best. Tap, 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 and just counter the shit out of the remainder of the team. Back out comes Excadrill, greeted with the boosted Rage Fist. These counters doing crazy damage. The opponent is going to be forced to throw. While Magnezone usually pretty bad into Excadrill, the damage is already done. Magnezone re-enters this arena, reaches that wild charge. Yes, it's double resisted, but it's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see another Gyarados in the lead position. I imagine we're just going to stay in and play it the same way we did last time. Go for the stab fly, either obtain a shield advantage or land massive damage. The opponent obliged, putting up that protection. I imagine Felarok's going to look to call the bait. Come on, trainee, you know you want to spam an Aqua Tail, thinking Shadow Pokemon, shield everything. This opponent, apparently smart on the last, forcing the crunch. Felarok sends out the UFO, the opponent not wishing to concede a farm down, send out Magnezone, and their UFO is hard punished by Annihilape. Annihilape wastes no time, fires off the Rage Fist, leaving Magnezone on fractional HP. That counter that snuck will be knocking out, so this is a safe protection as the opponent's only reaching one move. The opponent recognises Annihilape, likely shields whatever they throw, fire off the mirror shot, fishing for the debuff. No debuff does come through, back out comes Gyarados. Felarok goes all in on his Annihilape, shields up the crunch, returns fire with the Rage Fist. Rage Fist force the opponent's final protection, and what a play that is. We make the catch and the sneak with Magnezone, absorb the crunch, and that Volt Switch knocks out Gyarados. Oof! Disaster strikes as out comes Mamoswine. This is going to be one very close endgame. Do we have enough residual energy to outpace this Mamoswine? Heartbreakingly, we do not. We reach the charge move, but lose charge attack priority, and this one ends in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. What I'm sure you've noticed to this point in the video is, as fairy types are so common in this meta, people think fighting types are a myth, and people run so weak to fighters. In the next battle, we see Gyarados in the lead position. Felarok makes the adjustment, firing off the Brutal Swing as every Gyarados is shielded to this point. Of course, when you Brutal Swing, the opponent calls the bait. The opponent returns fire with the crunch. They get the debuff. Salamance using every last bit of its 100% IV stats, able to reach the part in Brutal Swing, forcing the first protection of the game. We send up Magnezone and very nicely actually get 2 Volt Switch off, meaning we're very close to a charge move. Out comes Rhyperior. Did I not tell you people are very weak to fighting types? Yet another ABB weak to fighting team, and Annihilape looks to close the show. Felarok going to invest the Protect Shield, which is probably the easiest protection of his GBL career. We shield up the foul play. We don't give a crap what they throw, as it's going to be fast move pressure for the win. The opponent recognises that Rhyperior is going to get eaten alive. Don't want that work, and they concede the match. Heading into the next battle, we see King's Gambit in the lead position. When I first saw his line of 3, I thought, what the heck is the Say Switch? You need some balls to be Say Switching a Magnezone, and something with double weakness to ground in a meta where Mud Slappers are common. It looks like the opponent has no response to Magnezone. We invest the Protect Shield, farm up to the double Wild Charge. Wild Charge gets no respect. King Gambit gets one shot vanquished, back to its Pokeball. Out comes Metagross, a very funky ABA Steel strategy. We fire off the Mirror Shot bait. We end up banking a Wild Charge, make the pivot into Salamance. Salamance lightning fast. The opponent continues to farm up energy. We take the initiative, fire off the Brutal Swing, and the opponent very quickly finds himself all shields down. We see the instant no shield from Felarok. We're able to survive the Meteor Mash just about, but the opponent is able to Shadow Claw, farm us down afterwards. Felarok waits out his clock, sends the UFO back into the arena. I believe it's just a Meteor Mash, which is double resisted. Would probably leave us very deep in the red. We invest to protect shield, continue to farm up. The opponent make a catch. No shot. Triple Steel Trainer. What is this team? I guess if this opponent sees an Extra or Rhyperior, they just say, nope, not today. Concede the match and move on to the next one. But this game is signed, sealed and delivered. Wild Charge simply doesn't get the job done. Annihilape leaves with the Rage Fist locked and loaded. Rage Fist isn't quite lethal, but does enable a counter farm down afterwards. GG's to that opponent, and what a strange team. In the next battle, we lead Shadow Salamance into Metagross. So everything you learn about typing effectiveness, you can throw that right out the bloody window. Because let me tell you, you'd much rather be Salamence than the Steel type. Taking out only 9 turns, them super effective brutal swings that easily 2-shot in this matchup. The opponent obtains a shield advantage, then make the pivot into Florges. Looks like we're going for some chipping of action. Gonna fire off the Fly. Fly lands for so much damage, and here comes the UFO. Magnezone's about to fall victim of the debuff treatment. I think we're going to get debuffed into oblivion unless we opt to instant throw. Looks like Felarok doesn't want to get debuffed again. Fires off the Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot is super effective, but not quite enough to knock out. Likewise, this Chilling Water is easily survivable. The issue we're going to have is we're 2-stage debuff, but that might not matter as Magnezone easily going to knock out Metagross with this Wild Charge, even at -2. Wild Charge forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent is going to commit to the full Shadow Claw farm down afterwards. As the opponent saves switch Florges, I believe this is likely going to be that very annoying Steel double Fairy team. And with that in mind, I think we were kind of obliged to invest in Salamance, as Salamance would be our best way of getting rid of the next Fairy, as double Fly would be lethal. It is indeed double Fairy, and this one definitely is going to win the heartbreaking defeat. Felarok recognise it, doesn't even shield the charge move. Dazzle Gleam, that's a one-hit KO, and we're moving swiftly on. In the next battle, we see another Florges in the lead position. I'm anticipating us throwing the Fly instantly, looking to get off some damage before the opponent potentially Moonblast us to the face. Best case scenario is the opponent goes the world's most ridiculous Chilling Water bait. Looks like Felarok putting some consideration into attempting to shield a Moonblast. We actually wait down the timer, get Moonblast to the face, and here comes the UFO. The question now becomes, can we fully Volt Switch farm down before the next Chilling Waters reach? It's going to be close, but Magnezone able to get that farm down, leaving at -1, but with a heap of energy good to go. Out comes Gudra with no Flash Cannon. That's a miserable matchup for Magnezone, even if you're not debuffed. So we see the pivot into Annihilape. Annihilape wastes no time, goes straight for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist with the residual counters has got this Gudra below the half health range. We invest to protect shield. The opponent already the next Aqua Tail. Felarok still with shield to hide behind, more than willing to tank at least one, as Aqua Tail isn't the most threatening move. Annihilape already the next Rage Fist. The opponent still with 2 shields to hide behind. Going to invest on Gudra despite being in the red health range. This should now set up Annihilape the opportunities, counter farm them down. The opponent recognise they're going to get counter farm down. Send out Magnezone, and this Magnezone is getting eaten alive. The boosted counters get them below the half health range. The boosted Rage Fist forced the final protection. The opponent looks to dump energy. Wild Charge. That was excessive, trainer. Does remove us from the field of play. Back out comes Magnezone. 1 Wild Charge. Knocks out Magnezone with 1 Volt Switch off the next Wild Charge. And despite this being resisted, it is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Yet another Florges in the lead position. Despite being AVA weak to Fairy, Felarok has managed to navigate his way through quite a few Fairy leads. Let's see if he continues his winning ways. He sticks to the strategy, goes straight for the Fly. No one's Chilling Water baiting us. I wonder if we actually consider shielding. Nope. Once again, we get Moonblast to the face. Sticking to the strategy, looking to get ahead on energy with our Magnezone. The opponent gives up the switch, sending out Ursaluna, and here comes Annihilape. This isn't enough for a high horsepower, so likely some kind of elemental punch right on cue. There is said Ice Punch, but non-stab, that does not do much of anything. This Rage Fist is double resisted, also not going to do much of anything, but does of course vamp up our super effective counters. Heartbreakingly, despite us being boosted, we're unable to counter farm down before the next elemental punch is reached, and we see Felarok invest the first protection of the game. Back out comes Florges, and they're greeted with the boosted Rage Fist. The boosted Rage Fist forces the opponent's first protect shield. Felarok going to go all in his Annihilape, shield up the Chilling Water, and he's going to be able to outpace to the next Rage Fist. The opponent now has a decision to make. Are they going to go all in on this Florges? Yes, they are. I anticipated the catch, but no catch attempt was made, and it's going to be Magnezone versus the Wild. Unfortunately for us, that's a Rhyperior in the back, and this is going to be GG's, and thanks for playing, but unfortunately not with us emerging victorious. Mirror Shot Doesn't do much of anything. The opponent fully Mudslap farm us down, and we're moving on to the next one. Oof, that's an awful lead. Avalon. Them Ice Fangs be double super effective. We pivot into Magnezone. It looks like the opponent has no response. Despite Mirror Shot being super effective, Wild Charge would do more. The Wild Charge gets no respect. Magnezone also has a Mirror Shot bank that looks like a charge attack priority. The opponent ends up investing in Protect Shield, wanting to protect the energy as they play to the CMP tile. They did not win. Despite us debuffing ourselves with the Wild Charge, Icy Wind is survival. The opponent then makes a very nice heads up play, sending up Metagross to get a very nice energy lead. Salamance re-enters the arena, going to invest in Protect Shield, blocking up the Meteor Mash. The opponent isn't quite in Brutal Swing range yet. It's going to get him low, but will be survivable. I wonder if we go all in on a Salamance. I'll look for the Dragon Tail farm down. I'll put it all on the Angry Ape. That is one of the quickest no-shows I've ever seen. The answer to my question is Annihilape. In you, sir, we believe. We send out Annihilape. The opponent pivots into Avalon. I'm not entirely sure what that play was about. It's not like we had a charge move after 3 counters. All they actually did is feed us free energy. It's Glissapod in the back. Can Annihilape go for his classic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, spam the Rage Fist and cheese its way through this matchup? I think this is going to be quite a close end game. We have got an energy lead, but Glissapod does have the pace and advantage. Annihilape going to reach the next Rage Fist. The opponent still with a shield to hide behind. Going to be investing it here, and Annihilape's bulk is about to be put to the test. Do we survive an Aqua Jet? Probably, but not well enough to survive the residual Shadow Claws. The opponent able to Shadow Claw farm us down, and unfortunately, heartbreaking defeat occurs again. Heading into the next battle. We need Salamance into Metagross. We go straight for the Brutal Swing, which is good timing. Using a 3-turn move into a 2-turn move is nice and simple. You just want to throw on an odd number. On the flip side, if you're the Metagross, using a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move, you ideally want to throw 1, 4, or 7. The opponent just threw 2 there, which did give us 2 free turns, but I guess it's kind of irrelevant as we didn't commit to Salamance. Instead, we send up Magnezone. We're going to go for the 1 shield, look for the farm down. Unfortunately, we get Meteor Mash baited, which was double resisted, and to add insult to injury, out comes Rhyperior. Annihilape going to be tasked with doing the heavy lifting, looking to cheese its way through the remainder of the team. If I'm being brutally honest, I think our win cons are pretty non-existent. I think we're kind of reliant on the opponent having a heart attack, which I hope they don't have, or potentially them lagging out. The opponent's still got 2 shields to hide behind. I guess they shield once, right? 1 shield on Gudra, save 1 for Rhyperior for the energy from Magnezone. The opponent has other ideas, saving both Protect Shields for Rhyperior. Rhyperior going to dump energy, and with 2 shields intact, this Rhyperior is completely unbeatable as Magnezone cannot hold 3 moves. We do fire off the Mirror Shot, but the Mudslap does sneak through. Mirror Shot forced the first Protect Shield. We are doubled up. We are going to force the opponent all shields down, but we're going to get Mudslap farmed down, and this one is going to end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, after a string of tough battles, we are looking to bounce back and we need Salamance into Metagross. Felarok wastes no time, going straight for that Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing, forced the first protection of the game. At least we obtained ourselves some kind of advantage in this opening matchup. The opponent ends up throwing on alignment and we see the instant shield deploys. They feed us a full free Dragon Tail. The opponent then pivots out into Gyarados, also a shiny, but they are very hard punished as here comes the UFO. These Volt Switches that did get buffed this season are double super effective. Not entirely sure why the opponent didn't throw the second Aqua Tail, but we're not complaining. We get the full farm down. Out comes Rhyperior, so I guess it starts to make sense. The opponent looking to get an energy lead. But in the process, they tank a Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot lands a super effective. Here comes Annihilape, and we're about to return to winning ways. Annihilape tanks the Breaking Swipe that doesn't do much of anything, does force a debuff on our attack, but we can boost that right back up with the Rage Fist. Rage Fist goes unshielded. We give the opponent that wham, bam combo play, serve them up the Big Mac and the fries, fire off the Brutal Swing. The opponent has a shield to hide behind, but recognise they cannot win the game, and just like that, we're back to winning ways. Heading into the next battle. We see yet another Florges in the lead position. I think this is why I went on a 15-game win streak leading Magnezone. Florges, without a doubt, is probably the most common lead. How is that a CMP tie? Is this opponent running Disarming Voice? Okay. Investor Protection, just fire off the Chilling Water. I guess that works for us. Salamance Undeterred, going to fire off yet another fly. Even at -1, rocking this Florges below the half health range. Annoyingly for us, the next Chilling Water is Survival, which just sets up a very nice Fairy Wind farm down for our opponent. Fuck me, I hate this Pokemon, man. All they do is debuff stuff into oblivion. That's the third Chilling Water, and the fourth one is already queued up. Felarok is going to invest a Protect Shield, value in health. I don't even know if we can Volt Switch farm down. Oh my god, this Florges is so annoying, man. Despite the opponent playing somewhat like a Degenerate, my gosh, did they get value out of that Florges. The opponent then saves Florges aggressively, send out Metagross, and here comes the Angry Ape. Unfortunately, as the opponent's got the energy lead, they're able to outpace to that Meteor Mash, and we now find ourselves with no shield to hide behind. We fire off the Rage Fist. Does this enable a counter farm down afterwards? You've got to be kidding me. Where is the health bar? Everything that could go wrong in this battle has gone wrong. Meteor Mash removes us from the field of play. I can't even see Magnezone's health bar. It's Gyarados in the back. We are doubled up on wild charges. The opponent can shield this up. The Dragon Breath will knock us out. And unfortunately, that one does end in defeat. Heading into the next battle, we see a battle of dragon types as Shadow Salamance stares down Hydreigon. Hydreigon's a pretty interesting pick, being double weak to Fairy. In a meta where Fairy types are common, it's certainly an interesting choice. But to be honest, it's pretty good into Metagross that is on like 95% of teams. Kind of a high risk, high reward Pokemon. We tank the Brutal Swing, look to return fire with our own Brutal Swing bait, but the opponent caught it on Togekiss like an absolute savage. We send up Magnezone. Fun fact, Magnezone can actually survive an Aura Spear from Togekiss. It does around 75%. It doesn't do anywhere near as much as you might think. Most people probably only use Shadow Magnezone in the Great League, where you're essentially obliged to shield everything. Neutral resisted, just tap that shield because everything hurts. But in the Master League, even super effective hits occasionally are survivable. You can see his bulk there. We end up getting caught in the Volt Switch animation. We tank that Brutal Swing really, really well. We then bank all the energy, send out Annihilape. Annihilape going to tank the Brutal Swing, commit to the counter farm down, leaving with residual energy good to go. Opponent sends out Togekiss. We can either force the final Tech Shield or cleanly knock him out with a Rage Fist. The opponent actually saved Togekiss, send out Metagross. Metagross shields up the first Rage Fist. Annihilape looks to reach the second, and what a catch that is. The opponent saved Metagross, make the catch, back onto Togekiss. Metagross going to re-enter the arena, get the Bullet Punch farm down. We send out Magnezone. Anything you can do, opponent, we can do too. We make a savage catch, wait 2 turns, catch the Earthquake onto Salamance. The opponent lightly undercharges, but no undercharge is going to save this opponent's fate as Brutal Swing is going to be all she wrote. What a crazy endgame. GG's to both trainers. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's showcase. A huge thank you to Felarok for submitting this insane flex of a team. Free, fully maxed out, perfect, 100% IV, level 50 Shadow Pokemon. I am hella jealous. If you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you'd like your battles featured on my channel, my battle submission form is linked down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.